Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to the channel. My name is Vanessa, and if this is your first time stopping here, I hope you don't make it your last. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for remaining tuned. So today's video, we're talking all about that pesky fat at the back and how to get rid of it. I started this year with a weight of almost 100 kg, and while I was at that weight, my back looked like this, but through some actions, I have managed to take my back from this to this. And in this video, I'll basically be answering the question how you can target your back fat and how you can get rid of your back fat. Usually when people talk about back fat and how to get rid of back fat, they usually start with general weight loss habits like walking 1,000 steps a day. And while that is sort of true and that can get you some results, it's basic and it's not the full picture, because when you want to get lean, the fats that you have in your back can actually be one of the most annoying and one of the most frustrating areas to deal with. So before we even proceed with the video, I need you to understand how you even got the back fat or how you even accumulated fat in that area in the first place. And the truth is that for most people, like generally two factors that lead to gaining of weight in the back. And the first one is genetics. Like most people are predisposed to store more fat in that area than in other areas. And the second is just good old calorie surplus. And because you're eating more than your body requires in response, the body takes all of that fat and stores it in the lower abdomen. This is especially true for women who are generally within 25 to 35 and even post-menopause, again because as women we typically hold on to fat. Like I said before, losing fat in the back can be one of the most frustrating areas to deal with. In fact, for most people, when you start a weight loss diet, you generally see that you would have lost weight on your face, on your arms, other areas of your body before you actually begin to lose weight in your lower abdomen generally. The good news is that fat on your back is just like any other fat, but with the right approach. Emphasis on right approach, you can actually see results. So let's begin. The first point is nutrition. So one thing that I want you to take out of this video is that when it comes to diet and nutrition, if you're able to dial in your diet, you've solved 80 to 90% of the issues that you're facing. The truth is that when it comes to weight loss, especially losing weight in your back, you need sustainable weight loss habits. And the reason I'm saying this is because I learned this the hard way. I thought that I could do 100 back exercises every day, thinking that that is going to exercise away my back rolls, but not until I started to eat clean. I started to generally have an estimate of how many calories I'm consuming every day. That's when I began to see results. That's when I began to lose fat in my back. Now, the only way for you to lose fat is for you to be in a caloric deficit, which is basically to eat less than your body needs or less than your body requires. The major mistake that I see people make when it comes to being in a calorie deficit is that they usually do aggressive cuts right from the beginning. And what that leads to is a mistake that I call false progress. In fact, you're going to see the scale drop. But remember that I said that back fat is usually one of the toughest areas to deal with. What this means is that you need to be in a consistent calorie deficit, because your body is going to take fat from your arms, from your face, from your chin, wherever first, and then if you remain in a calorie deficit over time, it will eventually lose the fat that you have in your back. So the back fat is just like any other fat in your body. You just need to be in a calorie deficit for it to actually work. Given the points that I've mentioned, it means that if you are going to be in a calorie deficit, you need to know the optimal calorie intake for you every day. Go to Google and type calorie calculator. Once you click on the option that you seek, then it's going to ask you for your stats, such as your age. It's going to ask you for your gender. Just supply it with this information. It's going to give you what your maintenance will be. It's going to tell you how many calories you need to eat to be in a normal weight loss, and it's going to tell you how many calories you need to be if you want to add weight. It's not advisable for you to go the route of doing an aggressive cut. Once you have the number for how many calories you need, then you have basically ticked off the first point, and then you now need to decide what meals you're going to take or what meals you're going to eat every day to actually reach what your calorie intake is daily. The next thing we're going to talk about is what types of food or what kinds of food you should be eating. It's common knowledge that if you're on a weight loss diet and if you're trying to get rid of your back fat, there are some foods that you should be eating and there are others that you should be avoiding. It doesn't make sense if you're on a weight loss diet to hold on to things like alcohol, to hold on to things like soda. These things generally will derail your efforts and derail all of the hard work you've put in place. So as a rule of thumb, always focus on things like whole foods, focus on your 3 macros, which are your protein, your carbs, and your fats. So now that we've talked about nutrition, the next thing we're going to talk about is exercise. This is a part that a lot of people get super fixated on, but the reason why this is coming later than nutrition is because nutrition is always the first part. Unfortunately, the internet is filled with all these pseudo workouts. I call them pseudo workouts that you do that don't really do anything for you. I see like all these 10-minute workouts to get rid of back fat, and the idea is that if you do all of those crunches, if you do all those leg raises, it's going to eventually help you to burn fat in those areas. But the truth is that your back is literally just one area of your body and you cannot spot reduced fat. Like no matter how many dumbbell back rows you do, you are not going to be able to spot reduced fat if you don't lose fat in your entire body, which is why I would always advise people to incorporate cardio and strength training. So as you're lifting your dumbbells, you're also doing some sort of cardio just to increase the amount of calorie that your body is expending and then eventually lead to fat loss. Because even if you have super defined muscles on your body, you still have fat hanging over your skin, and that excess fat you have on your skin will always cover up the muscles you have underneath. So there are actually some specific exercises you should be doing if you want to grow your back and if you want to build your muscle. The first one is a lat pull down. I think that the lat pull down is one of the most common exercises when it comes to a back day, and for good reason. Most people know how to perform the lat pull down, but if you have been struggling with mind muscle connection, it doesn't hurt to have a small arc in your back, but not to the point where you're outrageously or you're overly arching your back. That should not be the case. You should lean back just a little bit when you're pulling the bar and try to keep the bar closer to your upper chest. One tip is for you to try to pull your elbows in. This is one mistake I used to make when I first started. I usually would pull with my arms rather than pulling with my elbows. The difference is when you pull with your elbows, it makes sure that you're recruiting more of your lats in the movement rather than using your biceps or using your elbows to pull the weight down. So as always, the name of the game here is mind muscle connection, especially when it comes to exercises with the back, because the back is, at the back and you can't really see it, but mind muscle connection is what actually helps you to target the muscles that you want. Second exercise that you should absolutely be doing is a seated cable row. The seated cable row is sort of similar to the lat pull downs, and in most gyms they are usually attached to the same machine, so the rules are generally the same. You want to maintain a small arch also, but when you're pulling the bar to yourself, try to bring your chest up nice and high, and then when you release, try to release and let yourself go forward just a little bit. Don't swing, always be in control of the weight. The next exercise that is absolutely a game changer is the single arm dumbbell row. This is generally performed with a bench or against the wall, something to hold for support, and just as the name sounds, it's a single arm dumbbell row. One mistake that most people usually make when it comes to this exercise is that they usually overextend at the top. So that can happen because you're using a weight that is too light for you. All of these exercises, you want to perform them within the 6 to 8 rep range, and you can do 3 or 4 sets. So the reason you're going for this rep range is because you're actually supposed to be lifting heavy, but not too heavy to the point where you're sacrificing your form. And there you have it. That is the full blueprint on how I got rid of my back fat and how you can also get rid of your back fat. Just as I said before, the name of the game here is consistency and patience. I assure you that with incorporating these tips, you're going to see results. I have created a free guide for you if you're new to strength training or if you've recently hit a plateau, and I'm going to leave that guide in the description box. It's a free guide. You can just click on it and download. The guide contains things like your workouts and advice on how you can get the most out of your strength training exercises. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.